In this video, I'm going to talk about positive affirmations more deeply. I'm going to explain briefly what they are, how they work, the best way to formulate them, and how to make them most effective and powerful. And all of this will be done in relation to self-love, but we can also use positive affirmations in other areas of our lives, but that will be content for another video. This video is also part of a 4-part series. In the other videos, I will be talking about positive affirmations versus auto-suggestions, positive affirmations versus lucky girl syndrome, positive affirmations versus religious prayers. It's very interesting, so stay tuned for that and let's dive into the video. So first of all, what are positive affirmations? These are statements about yourself or something to make you believe them in order to create a more optimistic, happy and peaceful mindset and life. This is how I explain positive affirmations, and it's a very broad definition because we can use positive affirmations for a lot of things, not only for self-love but also for other goals that we set. It is kind of a similar thing that we are doing when we go to see a therapist and we do cognitive behavioral therapy. Maybe you are familiar with that. Let me give you an example of a positive affirmations before I move on to how to formulate them. So remember that I said in my last video that we have unconscious automatic thought patterns, and sometimes these thought patterns are negative. And remember how I told you that thoughts can impact how you feel, because thoughts in your consciousness go to your subconsciousness, and your subconsciousness then gives you some kind of feeling or reaction emotionally or in your body. So if we have negative thoughts, that leads to negative feelings and negative emotions. And it can even lead to physical symptoms, psychosomatic symptoms, that's what we call them. So, for example, you unconsciously tell yourself that nobody likes you because you're a weird person. That is something that I used to tell me, and this is something that I found out through my morning pages. Remember that I talked about that in my last video. The morning pages are a way to uncover your unconscious thought patterns. And then when I uncovered this thought pattern, I asked myself, is this a thought pattern that I want to believe? Is this something that serves me? Is this making me feel good? Of course it's not making me feel good. If I think that nobody likes me and that I'm a weirdo, maybe I am a weirdo, but is that a bad thing? I don't know. So then the next question is, what do I want to believe? What is something positive that I can create out of this? How can I reformulate this thought into something positive that actually does serve me and the goals that I set for myself? For example, my goal is I want to love myself. I want to be confident with myself around other people. Then I can change this negative thought pattern that doesn't serve this goal into something that actually does serve this goal. For example, I changed it into, I'm looking at my notes because this time I actually made notes. Otherwise my video will be super long. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see, what did I write? My uniqueness is what attracts people. My uniqueness is my greatest strength. People naturally like me. People naturally are attracted to me. I love myself and I love other people around me. I accept myself and other people will accept me for who I am too. As you can see, it doesn't have to be just one statement. I had one negative thought pattern that I changed into multiple statements. It doesn't matter. There's no rule for how many statements you make. The only rule is that they are positive and serve you for your own purpose and goal. And this goal is to make myself feel positive about myself, make myself feel more confident and love myself more. So yeah. And that way it will also improve your life in general. So how does it work? I already covered this broadly in my previous video about unconscious, conscious and subconscious mind. The thought patterns and the thoughts that we have in our conscious mind are interpreted by our subconscious mind and then translated into a feeling or bodily sensation. Now, if we are always thinking in negative terms, then of course our body will be starting to feel negatively. Negative emotions, pain, weird bodily sensations that say, I don't like this. You know, you get a headache, or maybe you constantly feel stressed, or you have like a high heartbeat, you get anxious, you get depressed maybe. And like I said, that is going to cause a negative downward spiral. Because if we feel depressed and anxious, what are we thinking? We're gonna start thinking, oh my god, life sucks, everything is too difficult for me, and then these are negative thoughts, so they come in your mind and they infect your subconsciousness, and it will give you some more negative feelings, so you're just going to spiral down. What we want to do is make the spiral go up again. But if it's a rusty spiral, if it's an old spiral, if it has been spiraling down for a long time, then it's gonna be hard. Of course, it's gonna take time for this spiral to move upwards again, to turn into the opposite direction. In other words, it will take time for you to start really believing the new thought patterns that you put into your mind, and to make them more automatic thought patterns. It's like training a muscle, like I said. It's not like I go to the gym one day and right away when I walk away I'm like a bodybuilder. No, that's not how it works. Just telling yourself this statement once is not gonna work. Okay, so don't give up. You got this. I will give you some tips on how to formulate your positive statements and how to make them most effective and powerful. So, how to formulate them. Well, first of all, I want to say that on YouTube you can find a lot of positive affirmations videos about a lot of different kinds of topics like success, wealth, happiness, self-confidence, I don't know, a lot of different things. They can be helpful, but only if they relate to the goals that you set for yourself. It kind of like training your arms, whereas you want to get like a big booty. So the important first step is to figure out your goals. What are your goals? What do you want to work on? What are your negative thought patterns that you want to change into positive ones? And what are those positive ones? What do you want to believe instead? So start formulating your own positive affirmations for your own goal. Because if you formulate them yourself, they are really yours, and it's more easy to believe in them because you formulated them yourself. Why would you not believe yourself? Actually, in fact, people tend to believe their own words best. Compared to all other people's words, we believe our own words best. My next tip is don't make them too long. I've heard very long affirmations. In some of the affirmations videos, they say the sentence and then you have to repeat them. They give you some pause, and it's more like a game, like remembering the statement, because they're so long. I'm like, what did they say? I can't remember. And it's less about actually feeling into the words, because I'm just like, what did they say? I don't remember, you know? So don't make them too long. It's gonna be hard. Also, we all remember short things better anyway. So thirdly, you can have as many statements as you like on one topic. You can have just one statement, you can have 10 or more or less or whatever. However, I would suggest to keep your affirmations about one or two themes. So you can have as many affirmations as you like, but just set one or two goals first. Because if you work on 10 goals, and for each of those goals you have 10 statements, they're gonna be like 100 statements you have to repeat for God knows how many times, and it's gonna cost a lot of effort, and in the end it has less effect than when you repeat just a few statements multiple times. So I suggest just work on one or two goals at first, and if you feel you've progressed enough, you can go on to the next goal. My last tip: try to start your statements with I or I am. First of all, if you put I at the front of your sentence, it is targeting yourself. And you put I in the front of the sentence, and that makes it the most kind of important part. You put the stress on the first or the last part of the sentence. First or last part of the sentence is what your brain triggers most. If you put it at the front of the sentence, your brain is like, oh, this information is about me, so we have to pay attention. Okay, it is kind of like ringing a bell to your brain, like, pay attention, this is about you. You want to know about this. And if you use I am in the present tense, it means that it is already like that right now. So you tell yourself that I am already blah 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 what I want to be, even though you are not, maybe secretly, but just tell yourself it, because your brain cannot, your subconsciousness cannot distinguish between reality and fiction. So what you tell it is what it will believe. If you would use the future tense, what we are most likely to do, because we want to tell kind of the truth, you know, I like, this is what I'm working on, so in the future I will love myself, then that implies that you are not loving yourself right now. So your body, your subconsciousness is not gonna work on that right now, because it's like, oh, we will love ourselves later on, so we are not loving ourselves yet, so I don't have to love myself yet, I can wait, I'm lazy, I can wait until later. So now that I've told you how to formulate them, I'm gonna give you a few tips. How many tips? 3 tips? I'm gonna give you 3 tips on how to make them powerful and effective. So first of all, you might be wondering, okay, I have these statements, what do I do with them? Like, how many times do I repeat them? Do I have to repeat them out loud? Do I have to read them? For how many days do I have to do this? As far as I know, there is not specifically one best way to do it. It's just more about trial and error, what works for you. And yeah, what works for you is actually, yeah, that's it. Because I can tell you to like repeat this every 5 minutes. But that's not gonna work for everyone. I mean, people that don't have anything to do in their lives, yeah, they can do it. Will they do it? That's another question. But if you're just a full-time job, of course you cannot repeat them every 5 minutes. So it's more about what works for you. Don't feel stressed about them. Okay, it's not gonna have to be like a must, but you cannot go wrong with repeating them as many times as possible. And that means repeating them as much as possible at one sitting, and also repeating them as much as possible over time. So for example, you can do it like this. So when you wake up, read them, you read your statements. Let's say you have 10 statements. Read them maybe 10 times out loud for yourself. And then during lunch break, during lunch break again, read them 10 times. And then before you go to bed again, read them 10 times. Something like that. And then how many days you should do it? On YouTube videos, they always say 21 days. But I heard that it takes like, I think it was about 3 months before it really makes, keep it. Because after 21 days, maybe you start feeling into it, but you have to keep it up, because it's like a muscle. If I stop training my muscle, of course, if I don't use it, it's going to be gone. It doesn't mean that you have to repeat them as much as before, right? You will become more conscious about when the negative thought pattern comes back again, and then you can consciously tell yourself your statements that you used before. Anyways, second tip. Oh, was that okay? So now okay. I don't know. Was that a tip? Okay. So my second tip is state your statements out loud to yourself. Reading them in your mind is good. That's also effective, but more effective, state them out loud. Because if you hear your own voice, it's gonna be more powerful, because you actually hear it out loud. You hear yourself saying that thing. About those YouTube videos, like, they can be of help, like I said, but it's again someone else's voice, so they are effective. But if you want to make them more effective, and you want to listen to something instead of just reading it out loud every time, then I suggest record your own voice reading those statements, and then listen to this recording, because then you also hear your own voice. Okay, so that's kind of a trick to trick your brain. I don't know, to trick yourself. But it works. This leads me to my next tip. I heard that it is also even more effective if you look at yourself while saying those things, because then you are really talking to yourself. I've personally not really tried that a lot, because it's not always practical. Like, there's not always a mirror. So you can do it if there's a mirror and you're like, okay, let's do some statements, or maybe it's gonna be like your Pavlov effect. You see a mirror and you're like, oh, I look amazing, look at these eyebrows, they're on fleek. Do you call it on fleek? Oh, look at this pretty girl, oh my god, you know. My final tip, so it's actually 4 tips then, anyway. My final tip is listen to them before sleeping and after you wake up. Why? Because those are the states where your mind is still kind of in the sleeping phase. In this phase, your subconsciousness is more open to be targeted. You've probably heard that dreams are in the realm of the subconsciousness, so it has to do with that. But those moments are most effective. Sometimes people also listen to their positive affirmations throughout their sleep. You can try if you're not bothered by sounds all night. Yeah, anyways, it's like I said, trial and error and what works for you best. So there you have it. Now you know what positive affirmations are, how they work, how to formulate them, and what are some effective and powerful ways to use them. Of course, there is much more to tell about it, and I don't want to make this video even longer, because I can talk about it for hours, but that's not gonna help you. I hope I got a little bit more clear about how to use them. If not, please let me know. I'm glad to explain more about this. And maybe in my next videos it will become more clear and clear about what they are, how to use them, and what you can use them for, because in my next video I'll be talking about that more specifically as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Like, subscribe, share, and comment, and follow me on Instagram for more content and more videos and more illustrations and more, I don't know, fun. Yeah, sometimes it's funny, and I upload some behind the scenes on my Instagram stories, so yeah, it's funny. I think it's funny. So okay, anyway. So that's it for today. See you later. Bye. I'm tired.